As you can see from that little intro clip, the wind in Pensacola has just been blowing atrociously for the past several days. It's been blowing about 15 to 25 every day out of the east-southeast, which in Pensacola, that means it's going to blow down most of the waterways and just make fishing just absolutely impossible, either in the boat or the kayak. I ran into a gentleman in Academy Sports the other day, and we started talking kayak fishing and so forth, and he wanted me to go over in detail how my kayak is set up. I've done other videos on changes that I've made to my Vibe Seaghost 130, but my kayak setup is an ongoing project. I see things just about every time after I go fishing that I want to change or improve. So I'll show you what my setup is right now. I'm going to do this in my workshop here, and I hope there'll be enough light, but I'm going to have to stay in here to keep out of the wind because it will just be too noisy outside. Let's start up front, and I recently added this bow eye because I trailer my kayak most of the time and I have to cinch it down pretty tight. What I was seeing was that this right here was getting loose, and I was afraid that it would actually break. I added a tie down here, and when I put my rods in the kayak as I transport it, I put this across the rods to make sure they don't go anywhere. Up front here is my front GoPro camera. This is an old GoPro Hero 3, and I added a 5-volt outlet here so that when I start my fishing trip I can just turn that camera on. It has a 64 gig card in it, so it will run probably 5 or 6 hours before the card fills up. So what I was doing before is that I was using a remote to turn that camera on, but I missed so much action when I was doing that, so I just turned it on and let it run for the entire trip and edit out what I need. Up front here, I removed the front strap and replaced it with a bungee cord, and what that allows me to do is when I'm underway and I need something out of my console, I keep my sunglasses, my phone, etc. in there. All I have to do is undo the rear buckle there and just pull it aside and reach in there and get what I need, and then buckle this back up. On the front of my console lid there, you see this right here. That is a magnetic tray. I don't remember who I got that idea from, but when you're out fishing, and I change lures often, and I have no place to put them, so what I do is just throw them in there. That's magnetic. That keeps those hooks from going anywhere. And of course I keep my other stuff in there too. So that was a good idea, but you must absolutely keep your cameras away from it. From what I understand, a magnetic field will erase the data on the card. Moving back, I keep the fewest tools aboard my kayak that I can possibly need. I don't know if you've ever used one of these little cutters, but if you need to cut your line and so forth, they're real handy. It just sits there out of the way. On this side I've got a pair of pliers, and I used the scabbard and just fastened it to the side of the kayak so that I can just keep those in there out of the way, and everything is on a cable. This is my latest addition right here. I added a small section of track there and put a camera holder there, and I bought this little flexible extension for my GoPro. What I'm planning on using this for is underwater shots. I can actually fold it and down, mount my camera on it. On my last fishing trip you saw some underwater footage from that, and I have a chance to get some spectacular shots. I just need to be able to go fishing. When I'm transporting my kayak down the road, it bounces all over the place, and I'm a little bit worried about things hopping out, so I kind of tie things down before I leave and before I come home. One of the things I was worried about was my anchor, so I got this little tie down right here, and I just loop it around my chair, and it stays put while I'm underway. I'm going to have to take my seat out to show you the next thing. Hold on just a second. This kayak came with 2 side pockets for holding lure trays. I don't need all that space for fishing lures. I've got a few topwater and a few shallow running plugs and maybe a spoon or 2, so I didn't need 2 of those. On the right side, I cut a piece of plexiglass and to fit that area there and screwed it in. I kept the bungee cords, and that gives me a place to keep some extra tools. And the bungee cord keeps everything in while it's in transit. On the battery, I made some changes connection wise. I made some quick disconnects to disconnect the trolling motor, and this connect right here goes to all my front accessories. The fish finder and that camera up there are all powered by this one battery, and this makes it quick and easy for me to take this battery out if I'm not using it, and without undoing a bunch of connections. When you're sitting in the kayak, if you don't have some type of extension to go in the rod holder, it makes it pretty difficult to reach around for me and get a rod out. So I added 2 extensions on each side, plus I added 2 more rod holders here on each side. That allows me to take 3 rods and a net and have a good place to store them while I'm underway. In a video a couple of years ago, I showed how to reduce the height on an ice chest. A standard ice chest is going to sit about that high, and it acts like a sail. You don't really need all that space. I had to recently replace my ice chest because I set the previous one down in the wrong place, and I accidentally backed over it and ruined it. I did this one a little differently though. On the initial ice chest, I cut a section off the bottom and added a plywood bottom to it, plywood and foam bottom to it. Well, I did this one a little differently. I took an ice chest and I cut a section out of it, and after I cut that section out, I just married the 2, and the line is right there and you can hardly tell it. And on the inside, I fiberglassed all around that joint to make it super strong. Also, I had an old tray, but it was too limber to hold anything in here, so I fiberglassed it also. And that allows me to keep cool drinks, sandwich, or so forth on my trip. When you catch a fish and you want to put it in your ice chest, it was difficult for me to reach around behind, hold the lid up while I put the fish in there. So I added this spring, and what that allows me to do is just I reach back and flip it up. It stays open. I put my fish in, and when I'm done, I just use my elbow to trip that right there and close it. Well guys, that concludes this little episode of showing me my current setup on my kayak. Well, as you can see, the wind is still whipping. As I was saying, this concludes my little tour of my current kayak setup, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Part of the fun in kayak fishing, or kayak in general, is making all the little changes that will make you enjoy your fishing trips a lot more. So, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and thank you very much for watching.